Hector stood in the diplomatic chamber of the interstellar station, his heart pounding against his ribcage like a prisoner demanding freedom. The fluorescent lights above hummed with an alien frequency that made his teeth ache. Around him, representatives from a dozen species watched with multifaceted eyes, sensory appendages, and bioluminescent displays of what he assumed was curiosity. You understand the terms? Ambassador Thalax asked, his translucent form rippling with what the translation matrix identified as concern. Hector nodded slowly. I marry someone from the Zeph Empire. In exchange, humanity gets full access to your gate network and protection under the Galactic Concordat. He swallowed hard. And I don't get to see her until the ceremony. Correct. It is our way. The bond must be formed without prejudice or preconception. 3 months ago, Hector had been a freight pilot running supplies between Earth's moon colonies. Then the Galactic Concordat had made first contact and everything changed. Humanity was primitive. They said backwards they would be permitted to join the galactic community only under strict conditions, one of which involved cultural exchange through bonding. Someone had to volunteer. Hector thought of his sister's children, of the medical technologies that could save his dying mother, of the future humanity could have among the stars. So he'd raised his hand. Now he stood in ceremonial robes that felt like wearing liquid starlight, waiting to marry a complete stranger from a species he'd never even seen. The chamber doors opened with a sound like singing. Crystal, Hector's breath caught in his throat. She was humanoid, thank God for that small mercy, but that's where the similarities to human women ended. Jessie moved with a grace that seemed to defy gravity, her skin shimmering with patterns of bioluminescence that shifted from deep violet to electric blue. Her eyes were large and entirely silver, reflecting the chamber's light like twin moons. Delicate antennae rose from her temples, adorned with what looked like living jewels that pulsed in rhythm with her breathing, but it was what she wore that made Hector's knees nearly buckle, a crown. Not metaphorical, an actual crown of crystalline material that seemed to grow from her very skull, refracting light into impossible colors. And behind her, a retinue of guards in ornate armor that screamed of royal status. Holy shit, Hector whispered. Ambassador Thalax's form suddenly brightened with alarm. Yes, there may have been a miscommunication. Miscommunication? Hector hissed. You said I'd be marrying someone from the Zeph Empire. You didn't mention she was the fucking queen. Jessie stopped 3 meters away, her silver eyes studying him with an intensity that made him feel simultaneously exposed and weirdly protected. When she spoke, her voice came through the translation matrix as melodic and commanding. You are Hector? The human volunteer? Why, yes, Your Majesty. He attempted a bow that probably looked ridiculous. Something flickered across her luminescent features. Amusement, perhaps? They didn't tell you who I was. They definitely did not. And they didn't tell me you would be so ... She paused, her antennae twitching ... small. Despite the surreal nightmare of the situation, Hector felt a flash of indignation. I'm 6 feet tall. That's above average for human males. Now she definitely looked amused. I meant no offense. Your species is simply ... compact. She glided closer, and Hector caught a scent like ozone and night-blooming flowers. I volunteered as well, Hector of Earth. Did they tell you that? What? No. He looked at Ambassador Thalax, who suddenly seemed very interested in the chamber's ceiling. Why would a queen volunteer for an arranged marriage with a primitive species? Jessie's bioluminescence flared brighter. Because I've studied your people. When the Concordat discovered Earth, I read everything I could access. Your literature, your history, your wars, your art. Her silver eyes locked onto his. Do you know what I learned? Hector shook his head, unable to look away. That humans are terrifying. He blinked. What? Your world tried to kill you at every turn, yet you thrived? Your own biology is programmed for self-destruction, yet you fight to live. You're weak by galactic standards, no natural armor, no venom, no psionic abilities, but you've conquered your entire planet and reached for the stars, using nothing but your minds and your unbelievable, insane persistence. She was standing directly in front of him now, close enough that he could see the complex patterns shifting across her skin like living art. The Concordat sees your species as primitive and amusing. I see what you really are: survivors who refuse to quit, innovators who thrive in chaos, warriors who turn your weaknesses into weapons. Her hand, slender and four-fingered, reached up to touch his face. Her skin was warm and sent tingles across his nerves. I rule an empire of 4 billion souls across 6 star systems. I've negotiated with warlords and outsmarted merchant princes. But I've never met anyone from a species like yours. Hector found his voice, though it came out rough. You volunteered to marry me because you think humans are scary? I volunteered because I think you're magnificent. Her luminescence pulsed with what he was learning to read as sincerity. And because the Concordat is making a grave mistake in how they're treating your kind? Someone needs to be humanity's voice in the galactic community. Someone who has a vested interest in your success. And that someone is ... you? That someone is us? She smiled, and it transformed her alien features into something achingly beautiful. If you'll have me, Hector of Earth, I know this isn't what you expected. You thought you were sacrificing yourself for your species' future. You didn't know you were marrying an empress with 3 civil wars under her belt and a reputation for brutally efficient diplomacy. Hector laughed. He couldn't help it. The absurdity of the situation, the tension, the fear, all of it bubbled out in a sound that echoed through the chamber. Jesse's antennae perked up with evident curiosity. I was a freight pilot 3 months ago, he said. Now I'm marrying the queen of an interstellar empire who thinks humans are magnificently terrifying. You know what? Fuck it, yes. Yes? Yes, I'll marry you, Your Majesty. But on one condition. Her silver eyes narrowed with interest. Name it. You teach me everything about galactic politics, warfare, and diplomacy. If I'm going to help humanity navigate this new reality, I need to know what we're up against. Jesse's bioluminescence exploded in cascading waves of color that Hector's translation matrix labeled as intense joy and approval. Hector of Earth, she said, her voice ringing through the chamber with royal authority, I accept your condition. And I promise you this: the Concordat thinks they've contained humanity with this arrangement. They have no idea what they've unleashed. She took his hand in hers, her 4 fingers interlacing with his 5 in a gesture that transcended species. Welcome to the galactic stage, husband. Let's show them what humans can really do. As the ceremony began and ancient words and languages older than human civilization echoed through the chamber, Hector realized something profound. He hadn't sacrificed himself for humanity's future. He'd just become the key to it. And beside him, a queen from the stars smiled like a predator who'd just found the perfect hunting partner, the galaxy. Hector thought with growing excitement, had no idea what was coming.